Hi, I'm Marius from MWS Photography, and in today's video we are going to look at the Gorillapods from Joby. Now I've got three models here with me, and instead of just saying here's a Gorillapod, it can take so much weight and that's it, I'm rather going to go a little bit more in depth, and I'm going to look at more uses that you can use it for, and then also after playing with them which one worked best for each situation. So I've got here with me the SLR Zoom. And I've got the same SLR Zoom, but then with the ball head, and then also the one that I truly love the most of all three, the Focus with the ball head X, and you can see the X right there. So we're going to also look at the price range, so you can see in your budget which one you would prefer. Now, when I look at the first one, the SLR Zoom, this thing can take a weight of 3 kilograms. And you can feel it's very strong. So it's an excellent Gorillapod. But what I don't like, now I can take this little bracket they've got on here. This is for you to fit your ball head to this. So if you buy it without the ball head and eventually want to buy a separate ball head, just make sure you haven't lost this. So just make sure that's safe. If I want to put on a camera like this now, to save time, I'm not going to put it on now. It's very straightforward. You just hold it there, you just screw it in there. But the reason I don't like this is because I've got a rubber surface right here. And it's also got a very rubber surface. I don't know if you can see those round circles there on it. I just put it on the camera and I just basically made it too tight. When I removed it, the entire bottom part of the camera came loose. And even afterwards, I just tightened it slightly, it still did the same. So be very careful if you buy this one without the ball head that you don't make it too tight, because it's going to damage this section. You can actually see there's a little circle right there. It's going to damage the part of the camera, and it completely lifted up this bottom section. I had to put everything back in place. So for photography, I'm not that crazy on this one, because you can't, if you've got it like this, you've got the camera on here, you're shooting in landscape. You can't go portrait. If you want to go portrait, you need to fit this against a tree or a pole or something, and then you can shoot portrait. You can't without the ball head. So for photography, not that crazy on, with this one without the ball head. For video, very nice. You can have it like this, and then you put your camcorder or your SLR with a video feature or whatever camera you're shooting video, and instead of holding the camera like this, and after a while your arms are going to become very uncomfortable here holding it like this, but shooting this way, it's much easier to grip, and moving it around for more interesting angles, a lot better. So for video, this is definitely a very nice thing to look at. Now I love off-camera flash. On location off-camera flash, that's the type of stuff I like to do. Now I've got 3 different methods that I like to use, and I'm going to show on this one all 3 of them. Now the first one is for the Nikon lovers. I'm a Nikon shooter, and this is I'm going to use the Nikon creative lighting system. So I basically take the pop-up flash, turn the pop-up flash into a transmitter, I turn this into my receiver, and then when I take a shot, it sends a signal from the pop-up to my flash. Now fitting it on here, very easy, the same as with the camera. You just basically screw it in and it works perfectly. Again, not too tight because that rubber thing really grips. And now you just bracket it against whatever. And the reason for this is if you're shooting a wedding or an event, people can trip over your tripods. This makes it much easier. I can fit this wherever I want on anything that I can fit this to on a wedding or event. Easy peasy, just fit it there, and your problem with people tripping over your stuff is gone. So for that, it works perfectly. Now, with the other 2 methods, I ran into some problems. The first one, this is my cheaper set. It's the Cactus version 4s. This is the receiver, the transmitter I put on the camera. If I screw this onto the tripod, you can see it just keeps spinning. It doesn't fasten on this thing. I guess it's just the length of the screw compared to the thing it needs to screw into. I'm not a do-it-yourself type of person, so I'm not exactly sure why it's not fitting in there perfectly, but it's spinning around. it's irritating. So for this specific system, it's not working that great for me. And then with the Pocket Wizards, I had a huge problem where if you look where the little hole is there, if I try and fit it in there, this round section right here, it's not going to go in there. It's going to be totally skewed when I try to fit it into my Pocket Wizards. And I love my Pocket Wizards. I don't leave house without them. Right. So this doesn't work that great, but still it's a good Gorillapod. I just need that head on there. So this one, the pricing on this one, okay, the price now is in South African rands. It's going to be 435 Rand for this one. And they've been on the market for a while now. So yeah, 435 for this one. Just remember to do not lose this little adapter. If you want to look, if you're outside South Africa, you can just go to the link below and you can go look in your currency for your country. But yeah, I'm going to use South African currency for the rest of the video. Now, this one is a lot better. Definitely, I would rather invest that little bit more. This one now is compared to this one being 435 Rand. This one is 725 Rand for this one. It's almost double the price, but this head alone makes it worth it. It's got the same legs, the same 3 kilogram weight that this thing can hold, which is a lot. You can put a decent SLR camera on you with a lens and it works perfectly. Now, when we put the camera on here, it's got a very nice bracket. So you just press this button right here and you pull the bracket out. Now it's got a little bubble level right here, so you know your camera is perfect, you know it's aligned properly. What I don't like, and this spoils the entire bracket for me, is this screw in the bottom. Because now I need to use a coin or something, or a screwdriver or something, or if I must, my nail, which doesn't work that great. It's the only drawback on this bracket is that screw in the bottom. So now, other than that, it goes on very easily. I'm not going to fasten it all the way. I actually must have brought a screwdriver or something with me, but I don't, and this is not working so lekker now. And I don't want to struggle like this when I'm on vacation and I want to fit a Gorillapod. So this is the huge drawback on this thing for me. I don't like this. Other than that, it's very nice. Okay, I'm not going to fit it perfectly on there. What I do like, I always like security features on something. So when you put it in, it clips in place and it's not going to come out. You know that your camera is safe. And as you can see, it's holding this camera perfectly. With all of these Gorillapods, as you can see, a little bit of movement on them, especially on the surface now. Always use your self timer or cable release or wireless remote. Then you know when your camera is bracketed against something or just like this, if it's not moving, it's not going to move when you take the picture. But if you're going to keep on pressing against, you can see I can move this camera. It is sturdy there, but you can move it. Right. So once the camera is on there, then it's a lot better or a lot easier. When you open this dial, it's only got one dial. Always make sure you're holding onto your camera, because you'll notice when I open it, this entire camera is completely loose. But now I've also got, okay, this thing is not, yeah, there we go. I've also got movement on the ball head, so I can move this camera into any direction. Now, there's a little opening right there. What I do like is I can drop it down. So now I'm going to portrait, then I'm in landscape, then I'm going to portrait, and I can move it around in any direction. So it's very nice. And then when you tighten the dial a little bit, you can still control your pan head. But it's going to be very tight, because if you open it up, the entire thing just falls down. You'll see with the third Gorillapod, the head on it is just awesome. So once this thing is in position, you fasten the grip on it, and there you go, problem solved. Shooting video, it's a breeze. You can just put the legs exactly the way you want it, and now you can shoot video a lot easier on your arms. You can get a lot more creative angles with this. So for photography, for videography, this is definitely a use must. And it's nice for traveling. You don't need to take a huge tripod with you. You just drop this in your camera bag and there you go. Right, now for the flashes, I'm not going to put this thing on every flash because I don't have a screwdriver or something with me and it's not so user friendly without it. Right, so with the flashes, I didn't have any problems at all. It worked with all three flashes without a problem. This one, you just screw it in there, lock it into the tripod, there you go, and you can move your flash around once you've bracketed it against something. With the cactus, the same, you just screw it in there, no problems. Pocket Wizard, also a breeze. As you can see, it fits in there nicely, nothing is in the way. You fit it on there, you put your Pocket Wizard in there, and you start shooting, no problems. So if I look overall on this one, I really can't fault it except for that, the bottom thingy. Maybe I'm nitpicking, I don't know, but I want, the bracket must be perfect. So other than that, this is a really handy little Gorillapod, and the price range, I'm happy with it, no problems there, and this thing is strong. The grip on this thing is awesome. If you take this the little rubber they've got here and you put it around, you put your fingers around like that and you just go like this, you can feel how it's gripping against your skin. So if you put this thing on just a normal pole, you'll see it's going to grip against everything. If you fasten it properly with all three legs, this thing's not going anywhere. So the grip on this is actually awesome, and funny enough, it's actually better than the one that's priced twice the amount. And how I found that out was I put it against a pole and this thing gripped perfectly, and this thing had a little bit of movement on it. And then once I did the exact same test with my hand here, I could feel it's not gripping as strong as this one. Weird, I don't know why, but this one just grips better than the larger one. Now, if you decide you're going to buy both of them, not a problem. You can actually take the head off. You can, for instance, if I'm going to take this one off to save time now, I can actually just make sure everything is fastened, and then I can just take this entire head off. So if you decide you want to buy one like this, you can take this head off and you can actually put this one on here. Now you've got a smaller one. Maybe you're limited with your space that's in your bag once traveling. Now I've got a smaller one but with a much better head on here. So using just mixing and matching the different stuff works great as well. Now this is definitely, this focus with the ball head X is definitely my favorite. It's on my want list, so I'm gonna definitely keep this one. Now when you look at the price difference, like I said, the first one was 435 Rand. The one, the SLR Zoom with the ball head, was 725, and then this one is 1,365 Rands. It's basically double the price of this, but believe me, you get what you pay for. This thing, like I said, is a gym exercise. It's strong. You can really do gym with this. And if you feel the build quality on this head alone, it's really very strong, and I just like working with this head. I'm going to show you why. It's really got nice features. So if I want to fit the camera on here, this is already where it's a lot better than the previous head. It's got a much better screw here. I don't like having something with me to try and get the thing on here. I like speed. That's the reason why I use Black Rapid straps. Everything must go fast. I don't have time when I'm shooting. Everything must go fast. So this, quick, just take out the little tab thing there, just screw it in place. You're done. Much faster than the previous one, and everything just fits in perfectly. You take the top dial, you lock it in place, it's not going anywhere. Now obviously there is a bit of movement on the camera. By the way, this thing can handle 5 kilograms, so you can put a decent camera lens on here and this thing will take care of it, no problem. Now you do get a little bit of movement, so just either use your self timer or put a cable release on here, or wireless remote, whatever you want to use. It will just help you with that little bit of image shake. So As you can see, it's got this dowel right here. It allows me to remove the bracket. And then what I love about this head, it's got 2 dowels compared to the previous one, which had only 1 dowel. That allows me, if I open this dowel right here, I can move the pan head, and this just works great. You can see the movement of the pan head is so smooth. So it's super that they've made 2 dowels here. That allows you to control both. Now you can see it's got a little opening here. This allows me, when I open this dowel, to turn the camera from a landscape view like I've got now. If I open it up, it's going to go to a portrait view. It's just going to drop in place there, but I can now move it, and where I want to keep it, I just lock it in place, and there you go. It just works so nicely. So I can take this thing, I can open it up, and the ball head works great. I can put it in any move it in any direction. It just works perfectly. I'm going to lock it in place. Now say I want to use this now for video. Now this thing doesn't record video, not an issue, but if you want to put an SLR or a video camera on here, as you can feel or hear from my voice, this thing is so strong. Once everything is in place like that, I can use this as a very nice bracket for my SLR, camcorder, whatever I want to put on here. It's going to be much easier handling a camera like this for video and getting very creative angles than struggling like this doing it. So for video as well, I give this a thumbs up. For photography, I give it a thumbs up. And now for off-camera flash, my passion. Obviously, if this thing does the off-camera flash thing without a problem, this wins hands down for the favorite Gorillapod. So let's try the flash brackets, or the flash triggers and stuff. Like I said, quick, just open a dowel and just remove the bracket. Open the little clip, remove it, and there you go, camera's off. Now the first one, the Nikon Creative Lighting System, works like a breeze. Just lock it in place. Put it in there. And there I've got my Nikon speed light in. Problem solved. It was quick. Can't complain with this one. And usually I'll be shooting one of these 3. I'll either be using this one. I'm going to use these cheaper cactus units. Again, just lock it in place. Put it in the bracket. Now, it'll help if this thing is pressed down. Just make sure that thing's pressed down, otherwise it's going to lock. There we go, it's in place. When it's going to lock, it's just not going to go in. It's in place, it's holding my cactus receiver. And now here's the important one. I can't leave home without my pocket wizards. So if this thing fits, this thing wins hands down. Now, I'm so glad they made this a ball head X, because this curve makes it that my pocket wizard's going to fit. Otherwise, this would not have worked. Because if I put this in here, you can see, if I put the screw in its place, there's just that little gap there where this block fits into that little X or the little curve there. So you need to put it in skew, which is not a problem. It doesn't bother me at all. As long as it fits in there and it fits in sturdy and strong and quick, I'm happy. So you can see it fits in there perfectly. So I just put it on here. Lock it in place. And as you can see, it's not going anywhere. I can tilt my head of my flash. I can pan my flash. I can bracket this against anything I want to at a venue. This one wins as the best of the Gorillapods. So if I must come to a quick conclusion before we mount this little baby against the bench, this one, like I said previously, I don't want to sound like a broken record player. It's an okay Gorillapod. The price is right if you want to have 1 or 2 of these just for your flashes. If you're using the Nikon Creative Lighting System, it's fine. if you want to use it for a small camcorder or a little video camera or point and shoot, you want to shoot video, it's okay. You just don't have the ball head, which makes this thing basically suck. This one, ball head, it wins second prize. And the ball head is okay, can't really complain too much. It's just that screw, I wish they had two dowels, but it's a lot smaller if you actually compare these two to each other. It's a lot smaller ball head as well as a lot smaller Gorillapod. If you put them next to each other, you can see, just ignore the pocket wizard now, it's a lot smaller, and as well the ball head is also a lot smaller. So I can understand putting in an extra screw there might be a bit tricky, I don't know, it doesn't look like it will fit in there, but I wish it had two dowels, but as it is, it works fine. It is much smaller, it's going to make it easier for you when traveling, so it's not that bad, but it's just that screw on there, it's just a spoiler. This one, 100%, 10 out of 10, no problems. It's just that grip that I found out is a little bit weaker than this one. I don't know why. I thought this was going to be exactly the same or even better, but it doesn't bother me. When I'm going to grip it against something, I'm going to make sure it's locked in place, it's not going anywhere, so it doesn't bother me at all. I just love the head on this thing. It's so smooth, it just works so perfectly. My camera comes onto fits onto it perfectly and quick. My flashes go on here, all my triggers and everything fits on here perfectly. It feels very sturdy when shooting video. So this one just wins hands down. So let's look at bracketing this baby against a bench. We have now looked at the specs of the Gorillapod, and we looked at the different uses of it. So the only thing that still remains is to basically fit it to an object. So now I'm just gonna open up the legs. And you don't need to worry it's not gonna sit properly. These legs are very, very strong, and if you fit all three of them, you won't have a problem. So if you look here, this camera is not going anywhere. Now it's obviously best to put your self timer on, so when you press the button you're not making those little movements. You can just use a cable release or whatever just to get rid of those little movements. Now I've got the dowel here for the ball head, and it's got a very nice movement. Now it's important where I put that section right there, because I need to tilt the camera down to go from landscape to portrait. So I'm going to put this right here at the bottom. I'm just going to lock that dowel in place. And then when I open this one right here, it's important that you hold onto your camera when you do this, otherwise this is going to happen. The camera's just going to drop into your hand. You don't want to damage your equipment, especially if you've got a long lens on here. And now I can move this wherever I want this. I can easily compose my shot, and here I've got landscape and here I've got portrait, and when you're happy you just lock it in place and there you go. So they really work like a dream, the Gorillapods. I love them. It's so easy to carry around in your camera bag if you have to travel light and you can't take huge tripods with you. So that's that for this video, and if you liked it, press that or click that like button and subscribe to my channel so that you can get my videos as they come out. And then yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.